Welcome to Survivor School. And in this masterclass, we're going to be diving into how nourishing your body can transform your mind and your life. And in this session, Alexis Taveras, an ISSA certified nutritionist and certified personal trainer, is going to share her proven strategies for achieving real sustainable health. By the end of this masterclass, you're going to have the tools to make healthier food choices, boost your mental and physical resilience, and build lasting habits that are going to leave you feeling energized, strong, and balanced. Alexis is going to guide you through the process of creating a plan that doesn't require restrictive diets or quick fixes. Instead, she's going to teach you how to make choices that support long term well being, both physically and mentally. Throughout the session, Alexis will reveal her 4 core principles, which are the key to getting you the results that you want. Now, these principles are designed to help you build a healthy relationship with food, fitness, and your mindset so that you can achieve lasting change from the inside out. So, with that, I welcome Alexis Taveras. So, everyone, this is Lexi Taveras. She is if I correct me if I get this wrong, certified ISSA nutritionist and fitness trainer. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. So, I'm going to hand it over to you and take it away. Tell us all about, I know we're going to learn about the brain gut connection today. We're going to learn about how what we eat can affect our mental health. And I think you're also going to give us some really great tools on how we can make sustainable change in our life. So take it
Absolutely.
away.
I'm excited. So it's good to meet you all here. I'm very passionate about this topic and I have some pretty slides ready. So I'm excited to dive in, of course, like drop any questions in the chat if need be. And so where I kind of want to start off with is just my story, a little bit of like who I am, how I got into nutrition, fitness. So I remember the first moment I became aware of my weight, and that was when I used to compete in cheerleading. And in competition cheer, I was a flyer. So I was the girl you throw up in the air. And I just remember the little girls being like, oh, she's so heavy, and that's when I first became aware of my weight. And then obviously growing up in the early 2000s, and I'm sure it was even worse before that. There was just a lot of just kind of like propaganda around like weight loss and your weight and like eat this and eat that. And so I grew extremely tired of the constant food noise, struggled with my weight and body image. So I hired a coach, I learned nutrition, worked on my binge eating, competed in back-to-back bodybuilding shows in the bikini division. And it just inspired me to really shift my coaching and just my focus from obviously we all, have our body, but really on the inside and healing from the inside out through your nutrition, right? Only 7% of Americans are metabolically healthy. Only 7%, right? So if only 7% of Americans are metabolically healthy, what does that tell you about what we're intaking, right? And so I want to help you guys today simplify nutrition without the toxic diet culture BS, heal your brain, like any, feelings of anxiety, depression, fatigue, brain fog through your gut and healing with nutrition. And, for those thinking like you don't need to have access to all the organic and grass-fed everything, okay, like there are ways to be healthy on a budget, but you have to start with where you're at and gain confidence in chasing strong over skinny. Okay. And so when we have these 3 pillars in place, that's when you're able to really have that full transformation. So I think we can all agree that you are what you eat, literally, right? When you eat good, you feel good, right? How many times have you like, I'm just gonna, make sure that I'm eating whole foods this week. I've been feeling super bloated, and you're just like on a rave about how clear you feel and how amazing you feel. And then it's like, okay, back to old habits, right? So I think we can all agree that when you eat good, you feel good. My favorite motto is good food, good mood. And so when you're eating good foods, you have a better mood overall. And we're gonna go into the how. But the problem is that over time, somewhere along the lines, chasing health has somehow become about chasing a number on the scale or chasing skinny or chasing thin. And there's blurred lines between health and thin, and they don't go hand in hand. They are not one and the same. Okay. So How many of you guys found yourself in kind of this cycle of, maybe feeling uncomfortable in your skin, going on some health kick or some diet, and then, you get some results and then you slip back to old habits, or you're terrified of going back to where you were, so you stay in that restrictive state? How many here who have found themselves like in that position? Okay, cool. So instead of being in this cycle, right, through taking control of your nutrition, your habits, and your mindset, okay, that's a big piece of it as well, then the reality of the journey is that there's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys, but what does the overall trend look like? Where are you a year from now, a year ago, 6 months ago? Okay. And I just wanted to create that perspective shift as we go into the three pillars to a healthy body and mind, to lead us into that. Okay. So we have three core pillars to a healthy body and mind. And I always say, like, it's very difficult to have a healthy mind if you don't have a healthy body. Like, even if you're someone who's super into mental health, you're super into self-development, if you are not honoring your body, it's very difficult to have that mental and emotional stability, right? It's also very easy to feel a lot better and to be more in control of your emotions and to be more regulated when your physical body isn't as stressed out and you're taking care of it. Okay, so we have these three core pillars that are going to lead to better moods, better mental health, and that is going to be nutrition and your gut health. So obviously that is the main focus of today. And then I did want to sprinkle in two other pillars as well because they are important and I do think that they're forgotten about. That's muscle and fitness and your hormones. Okay, so these are really a three-pillar kind of triangle framework that we have. And you can't have one without the other, right? Like you can't have healthy hormones if your gut health is trash, if you're not keeping up with your exercise, right? And also if you're overdoing exercise, but you're not getting enough nutrition, it's going to make your hormones out of whack, right? So we need to find that balance and we'll go into all three. If you guys want to drop in the chat, which one are you the most excited to dive deeper into? I know we're all here for the nutrition and gut, but I am curious if there's anything anybody else is most excited about. Okay, hormones, hormones, hormones. Okay, fun. Muscles, love that, Donna. We love muscles. And we're gonna go into all of that. I have like two slides for hormones. They'll be really good. Hormones, nutrition, hormones, menopause, cortisol, all the things. It's like oh my. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start with your nutrition and gut. If you care about your hormones, you need to care about your nutrition and gut. Just point blank, period. I do work with women who do have menopause, and you'd be surprised the reduction in overall symptoms when you take control of your nutrition. And it's not about restricting calories, it's not about restricting carbs, it's not about cutting out all sugar, cutting out all junk, cutting out all alcohol for 40 days or whatever, or fasting for 24 hours, right? There's a time and place for that, right? But I want you guys to really simplify. Okay. So with nutrition, I want you guys to think add, don't restrict. Because anytime it comes to nutrition, a lot of the times we have that diet culture running on the background and we're immediately thinking, what do I need to cut out? Okay, I want to feel better. I need to cut out this. I need to cut out that. I need to cut out this. And while you may need to cut out certain things, I want you to first think about what you can add into your diet, into your nutrition to improve it, which will naturally reduce the things that you feel like you need to cut out. Okay. So, can we add in more protein? Protein is vital for maintaining, building muscle mass. Okay. Muscle is super important. It's important for regulating your blood sugar, it's important for your metabolism. Okay. So the reason why we say age is a factor is simply because we weren't taught to keep up with our protein intake and muscle as we mature, right? So then we lose it, which then affects our metabolism and affects our hormones. Okay? So nutrition is not short for what I need to eat to be skinny. Okay? Again, what can I add into my diet that I know that I'm already lacking that will help regulate my blood sugar, help my energy levels. Okay. And we'll go into a little bit of what to add, but nutrition is not short for what I need to eat to be skinny. Okay. It's about fueling your body, nourishing your body so that you can have better mental health, better physical health, and overall just better quality of life. Okay. So, healthy gut, healthy mind. What do we mean by that? Well, we have our gut microbiome, and our gut is home base for the bacteria in our digestive tract. Okay, so it's here in our gut that our body is breaking down food, absorbing nutrients for proper digestion, energy, mental, and physical health. Okay. Fun fact, 75 to 90% of serotonin is actually produced in our gut. Serotonin is one of the happy chemicals, right? In our brain, well, not in our brain, but it's one of the happy chemicals. And so if our gut microbiome is off, guess what's also going to be off? Your mental health, the way that you feel. Okay. So the bacteria in our gut are, good and bad and are involved in, functions that are critical to feeling your best. And these are your probiotics, your prebiotics, fiber. Immediately when I talk about this, people are like, what's your favorite probiotic supplement? I would rather you get your probiotics from food and then supplement versus like, okay, I'm just going to take this $75 supplement. Hopefully it changes everything and then it's expiring in the cabinet. Okay. So Greek yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut. I have like 2 tablespoons of sauerkraut daily. It helps heal my skin, nourish your gut. Okay. Now, what is the gut brain connection? How does this actually connect? Well, we can think of our gut as our second brain, right? So if 70 to 95% of serotonin, our happy chemical, is found in our gut, and 50% of dopamine, our feel-good hormone, is found in our gut, then if our gut health is struggling, we're naturally not going to produce enough serotonin or dopamine. Trigger anxiety, trigger I'm depressed, trigger that melancholy feeling for no reason, right? Unstable moods. And if we want to support our mental health and our productivity, we cannot neglect the role that our gut has in that. Okay. So our gut and brain are in constant contact through something that's called the gut brain axis. Almost thinking of like, I mean, we have the Bright Line here in Florida, but almost just like a subway system that's really good and futuristic. That's just like zapping from the vagus nerve to the gut, and it's just always communicating what is kind of going on. Okay. Not only does nutrition affect our gut, but also the way that you manage stress. Okay. So our gut will signal to us when we are experiencing stress. Some things that will support your gut that have nothing to do with food is, are you eating distracted? Do you always need like a show playing, or you're on your phone, or you're talking to somebody, or you're working while you're eating? Well, that is going to cause a little bit of constipation, a little bit of indigestion, and a lot more of just like that sluggish feeling. Okay. Another thing as well is we want to make sure that we're eating in a rest and digest state. So taking a few deep breaths before your food, actually expressing gratitude for the food on your plate, right? Having that mindfulness is going to help you digest the food better, break it down better. You're going to have better mental health for it. Okay. Now, it's important for us to also understand the vagus nerve. Okay. So, if we want to understand how the gut and the brain is communicating with each other, then we want to understand a little bit more about something that is amazing, and it's called the vagus nerve. Okay. And so, the vagus nerve, also known as the vagal nerves, are the main nerves of our parasympathetic nervous system. What is the parasympathetic nervous system? It is the opposite of that fight or flight, right? In the thriving state. And it's that when you feel calm and at peace and you have nothing to do for the day and you're drinking your matcha and like, I don't know, like whatever brings you peace, you're in that parasympathetic state. When the kids are out of the house, whatever. Okay. And so when we're in that fight or flight, that's different. So this system really controls specific body functions such as our digestion, heart rate, and our immune system. Okay. So these fibers send information between our brain, heart, and digestive system. Okay. So some ways to kind of stimulate the vagus nerve for better mental health are, I just want you to think about different ways that you can on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. Okay. So for me, a big part of like being in control of my mental health is like controlling ADHD symptoms and improving productivity, keeping anxiety and depression at bay. Obviously, I don't have clinical, but I do notice with my food, If I'm staying indoors for too long, if I'm too tied to the screens, I will start to feel those feelings. Okay. So in a society where we are just kind of like work, 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 do, go, 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 it's super important to know when to actually take a step back, stimulate your vagus nerve. And so that way you can keep crushing it in the world. Okay. So I personally love cold water shower, 30 seconds. Fiber, colorful plates, giving yourself a foot massage. When's the last time you just got some cream and just massaged your own foot on the bed, right? Just giving yourself self-massage, laughter. Okay, so putting on something hilarious or talking to a cousin that literally makes you laugh so much. Laughter is really, really healthy for your vagus nerve. Okay, so with that being said, what do you feel like, and you guys can drop in the chat, are when we talk about like the things that you feel like you could add into your diet, or like if you know for a fact you could have more fruits and vegetables, or you're like, what's a probiotic? I don't know. It probably means I should probably eat more, right? What do you guys know are 1 to 2 habits or things that you could add into your daily lifestyle that you know for a fact would improve your mental health? It could even be swapping a habit. Like I scroll first thing in the morning and I want to swap that with reading a book. Okay. Love colorful fruits, more raw foods like carrots, fiber, personal things that bring me joy. Yes. All of those things are going to support your gut, your vagus nerve, your mental health, how you feel. Okay. So something else to be mindful of is a lot of you guys said you care about hormones, right? Well, if you care about your hormones, then you're going to want to care about your gut. Okay. So something to be mindful of is the connection between your gut and hormones makes up about 70% of your immune system. Why do we need to know this? Well, guess what? Poor gut health leads to changes in estrogen metabolism. Okay. Which can cause hormonal imbalances. So poor gut health equals poor nutrient absorption. So let's say you're eating really good and you're eating healthy foods, but you don't have enough probiotics, prebiotics, you're not sleeping well, you're not managing your mental health, checking in with yourself, whatever the case may be. Your gut isn't going to be able to actually break down and absorb those foods, which then affects your hormone production. Okay. And your neurotransmitters. So some effects of an unhealthy gut or an imbalanced gut, the obvious ones, digestive issues. Okay, so constipation, bloating, bubble guts, TMI, but whatever, a feeling of stiffness in the lower abdomen. Okay. Um, Another big one is, do you have consistent bowel movements? Because without coffee, without caffeine, because if you rely on the caffeine, you're like, okay, you know, how does your bowel movements look when you're not intaking coffee? Then you can actually see where your gut is actually at. Okay. Another symptom, mood issues, anxiety, depression, brain fog, fatigue, lack of motivation, feeling sad for no apparent reason, right? A big one, sugar cravings. Sugar cravings, certain food cravings. I just have cravings. It's not a you issue. I don't believe in like the whole sweet tooth thing because I used to be the biggest sweet tooth until I learned how to regulate my blood sugar and have a balanced, healthy gut. And I was like, oh, I don't have a sweet tooth anymore. Okay. And some people might argue, well, sweet tooth is like you just love sweets. Cool, but like, what if you just really you weren't even thinking about it, right? It just didn't even cross your mind. I used to love Cold Stone. Like, give me some cookies and cream Cold Stone. But like now I'm like, I don't know, I just don't think about it, right? Which was my dream state years ago. I would dream to not like have so much food noise and sugar cravings. Someone said, Aurora said, yeah, sugar at night. That's a blood sugar thing. Okay. Could also be a boredom thing and a habit thing, but it's firstly like the chicken or the egg, it's a blood sugar thing in your gut. Okay. So adding in more protein, adding in more fiber, adding in more complex carbohydrates. If you guys want to learn more about this, we won't be going too deep into that on today's masterclass, but adding in those things into your diet will help you to have a more balanced gut and reduce those cravings. Some causes of an imbalanced gut, and I want you guys to drop in the chat, how many do you have on here? Overconsumption of refined processed foods and sugar. Sugar is not the devil, okay? Like it's keyword overconsumption, or it's an underconsumption of important nutrients, which will make you want more sugar, okay? So an overconsumption of refined foods, overconsumption of alcohol, antibiotics, lack of sleep, especially my ladies in here. If you're getting under 8 hours of sleep, I'll let it slide with 7, but if it's under 7 hours of sleep, it's not going to cut it. If we want to get better gut health, you need to get better rest. It's the only time your body has a chance to properly recover. Okay. We have lack of sleep. Karen said lack of sleep, high stress. Tia said unbalanced gut, lack of sleep, high stress. Okay. It seems like a lot of lack of sleep and high stress. Donna said stress, not enough food, low protein at times, chatterbrain, right? So with knowing this, then we can choose the solution and what is actually going to help you balance that out. Okay. For me, with my high stress, it was just a lot of putting work before me. And like, I got to get to work because I was so passionate, obsessed with what I'm doing that I'm like, I just want to get into it. But I found myself like, ooh, I skipped on lunch and now I got to eat later in the day. And like, I don't feel hungry now. And my appetite's getting all messed up because I'm not being consistent. I'm not putting my body first. Right. So if you want to have better gut health, you have to set better boundaries with yourself. Right. Like knowing when to turn the laptop off, knowing when to say no, right, to other people. Okay. Aurora said lack of sleep, too much sleep. Well, too much sleep is usually an effect of lack of sleep, right? So if you find yourself in that cycle, it's probably why. Tobacco and more fiber. Awesome. So, with that being said, guys, overall summary before we go into our next two pillars is if you want a healthier gut, you want to make sure, and I can also drop this in the chat, that you are adding in more probiotics, fiber, quality sleep, and mindfulness practices. I like to call them pleasure practices, like things that I do throughout the week that bring me authentic pleasure. Sometimes it's watching the hills again, or sometimes it's something else. Okay. Next pillar, muscle and fitness. Okay. Muscle and fitness. Having muscle is so important. Muscle is the fountain of youth. Okay. And if we want to have better mental health, feel our best, and also have longevity in the long term, having muscle is key for that. Okay. So 10 million Americans yearly experience osteoporosis, which is the catabolization of your bone, your muscle. 80% of those 10 million Americans are women. Like, what is going on? Why are 80% of that women? Okay. And so if we want to prevent deteriorating into thin air, right? Like we want to make sure that we are getting in our protein, that we're nourishing our gut, and that we are getting in shape, getting strong. It's not about skinny, it's about strong. Okay. So my first step is find a form of exercise you genuinely enjoy and look forward to just to start. Okay. Build a consistent routine with that at first. And then at some point, you want to add in some type of strength training, whether that be at home, body weight, or, I love Pilates. It's a great form of resistance, not a lot of weight, or getting into the gym. And the reason why this is so important is the stronger that you get, the more muscle you have, the more healthy your metabolism is, which means that you have better longevity, you have that muscle, and you're going to feel and look your best going into the rest of your years. So, biggest misconceptions, and I want to know in the chat if these come up for any of you guys, is, strength training makes you bulky, or the gym is only for looks and when you want to lose weight, right? Like, well, I don't want to lose weight right now. Doesn't matter. You want to be healthy, right? You want to take care of your mental health. So get into an exercise regimen that you enjoy. Okay. And Another one is after a certain age, your body stops responding. This is a big one. Okay. Your body does not stop responding. Things do change. Okay. And you might have felt stuck. You might have felt like you've tried all the things, but the science is just, it really just comes down to this is just due to muscle loss. Okay. When we lose muscle, our metabolism down regulates, and then our hormones are affected, and then everything else goes to shit. Okay. So take care of your gut, add in more probiotics, prebiotics, have that muscle, and you will be able to just feel your best. And lastly, sleep and stress. Okay. So when it comes to our hormones, sleep and stress are huge. I like to call these high inflammation habits. Okay. And I want you guys to drop in the chat how many of these you have. Okay. Going to bed late, averaging 6 hours of sleep a night. If you guys don't, love that. That's amazing. Maybe watching TV or scrolling late into the night. Okay. Maybe getting into work first thing in the morning. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you pop a coffee, and you get into work. Okay. Not having breakfast. Oh, I'm just not hungry in the mornings. I fast. You know why you're not hungry? Because cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormone, are through the roof first thing in the morning. Doesn't mean you don't need food. It might not be pancakes and eggs, right? But you want to have something, especially for women, getting in at least 30 to 40 grams of protein. 1 to 1.5 hours of waking up is really going to help you regulate your blood sugar so you don't have sugar cravings late into the night. Okay. Manage your stress so you're not anxious for no reason or super reactive and freaking out all over the place. Okay. And just taking care of yourself. I see you guys in the chat. Aurora said, haha, yep, most of these. Too sedentary. Uh, Love that, Lindsay. That is amazing that you have none. That's my goal. Yay, that's awesome. Donna said, easier to say what I don't do. I don't drink alcohol weekly, only once in a while. Well, I'm assuming if it's easier to say what you don't do, Donna, then you're probably in a good shape, right? Like you're probably in a good position. Okay. And if you're not, don't feel bad about it. But this is just where we create awareness, right? To what we can change. Okay, so coffee is not a meal. It definitely shouldn't be the first meal. Okay, swap that with a savory breakfast. You know, making sure you're keeping your body moving. That's amazing, Donna. I love it. I absolutely love it. I already knew when you said earlier, I think you were talking about, what was it? You were talking about protein or, oh no, you said you're most interested in muscles. That's when I knew. I was like, Donna knows what's up. So that's awesome. And congrats on your 50 pounds lost. That's amazing. So if we want to improve our hormonal health, it's going to start with our nutrition. Again, what can I add into my diet versus what do I need to cut out? Yes, you might need to limit certain things. Like I had to recently just stay away from dairy, gluten for my own skin issues that were stemming from my gut that was causing hormonal issues. Okay. And the main things that affect your hormones are going to be your gut, your environment, sleep, and stress. So if you want to have healthy hormones, going into, just the rest of your life and having that longevity, audit those 4 areas. And for your gut and nutrition, the main thing is what can I add? And then auditing your habits. Okay. So if you want better mental health, start with these core pillars. This is really where you're going to be able to feel your best, experience less of those symptoms, right? And ultimately have that longevity that you're looking for, having more of that energy. Okay. So that's what I have for you guys today. I'm excited to hear what your takeaways are and who's ready to really heal their gut and their mind. And what questions you guys have, because I know we didn't go too much into the specifics of this, and that, and educating you around all of that. But I would love to hear what your biggest takeaways were and what questions you guys have when it comes to your nutrition, your gut, healing, and what your struggles are.
Yeah, and everyone, please, continue in the chat. Like, let us know if you do have any specific questions. I've got a list here from some people that sent in some questions before the workshop, before the masterclass. And then also I want to talk about a couple of other things as well. So first things first, one of the questions that had come in prior to the masterclass was someone in our audience is a vegetarian and they want to know what foods they could be focusing on that are actually going to help them to promote energy without caffeine. And I love this question so much.
I love that question. Yes, that's an amazing question. So, if they want more energy without caffeine, you're going to want to look at your carb intake and having more carbs, which I know for a lot of us, carbs get a bad rap. Like carbs is like, oh, no, stay away from carbs. Well, guess what? There's different types of carbs. Carbs are the only macronutrient or main nutrient that's converted into energy and fuel for our body. And so, I'm assuming someone who's vegetarian, they're eating a good amount of lentils and maybe brown rice, and, they're trying to eat enough. If they're still not having enough energy, what's your actually calorie intake looking like? Are you actually eating enough calories for your body? Calories is simply a unit of measuring energy. So you could be eating three balanced, great meals a day and still be eating like 1,200 calories, which is not enough, right? So the first thing that I would look at is if you're vegetarian, I mean, the main thing that you actually will probably be getting in is more carbs and probably struggling a little bit more with protein. If you want more energy without caffeine, I love a good adrenal cocktail. So adrenal cocktail is 8 ounces of orange juice, or you could do half and half. I add coconut water for hydration and electrolytes. So you've got a nice good amount of glucose from the orange juice. You've got a good amount of electrolytes and hydration from the coconut water. Then you can add a sprinkle of Celtic sea salt. And I've replaced my coffee lately and even my matcha with an adrenal cocktail. Oh my goodness, the energy is insane. I even do a little bit of apple cider vinegar for like the gut. Um, but that would be the main thing. The other things I would address is definitely sleep. And, are you getting in sunshine, or do you have vitamin deficiencies? Those are things that I would look at as well.
That's really awesome. I love that recipe that you just gave as well. I'm kind of excited to go try that. So we might need to get your little recipe book for that. That's awesome, and I hope that that answers that specific question. Next question we have that, like I said, came in before, and then I'll address what's going on in the chat as well, is stress eating. How do we curb this? Or is there something that we should be eating if we tend to stress eat? Are there things that we should be doing instead of stress eating? How can we curb that? Or if we're going to stress eat no matter what should we be eating? I guess that's kind of two sides to the same question.
Yeah. So stress eating, one is first addressing that, like, you probably made it a habit, and that the same way you made it a habit, you can create new habits, right? It's just going to take a little bit of practice. The first thing I would say is stop at, like, if whoever's listening, stop identifying as a stress eater. And anybody else here who says, like, I'm an emotional eater, I'm a stress eater, right? One, to stop identifying as that. And two, to really address like that habit and slow your nervous system down. So you feel the stress come up, you're finding yourself going into the cabinets, you're looking for food, you're feeling stressed. Stop, right? I use the SNBRR technique where I'm literally just like, stop, notice what I'm doing, like kind of stepping outside of my body and noticing myself doing what I'm doing. Take a deep breath. I'm feeling stressed right now. What besides food can help me with my stress that has nothing to do with food? And sometimes that can be breathing, going on a walk. Now, if you're anything like me and you love food and food makes you really happy, I personally love, I can give you guys like a bunch of like great recipes, but one of the first ones is like sweet. So I love a sweet one. Thank you, RC. That's the perfect adrenal cocktail recipe. Um, I'll do 2 chocolate rice cakes with some Greek yogurt or coconut yogurt on top, chocolate chips on top. If you want to be like extra healthy or whatever, get your little semi-sweet or organic or whatever. Honey, almond butter, and it's so sweet, but it's actually it's like good for you. So I like to make sure that I'm getting that in. I'm trying to think what else I really like. Honestly, the more that you guys just learn how to cook foods that you really, really love in a way that supports you, that is the biggest thing. I personally learned like about my macros and learning how to track my macros, and that really helped me kind of like go on that path. Um, so I wish I could just like spit out like four recipes that are going to help you in the moment, but I would just say the main thing is like addressing why are you stressed? What's the number one cause of your stressors? And then when you're feeling that stress, changing the pattern. And then that's just going to have to be a practice that happens over time. Um, yeah, that's my answer for that.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, we are getting flooded in the chat. There's a couple of other things that have come up, but I'm going to read through the chat because I think there's some similarities going on what people had submitted before and what's going on in here. The last thing that came in before was someone actually sent a link to an article that was titled, see if I get it right. Mediterranean diets may reduce or prevent PTSD symptoms. I know that I wish that I had sent this article to you before it came in shortly beforehand. To give you a chance to kind of review this. But I think a lot of what you talked about really does talk about reducing the stress in our gut, which will actually reduce the stress that we feel. Can you speak to that a little bit more, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not sure about the research with like PTSD specifically, but I do know for a fact the Mediterranean diet is very low inflammatory. So it's packed with all the nutrients you need. I think it's a really good place to start. Um, when trying to get your gut in check. I personally don't like to put myself in a box of a diet because then I kind of feel like I can't go out of it. And then when I do go out of it, then I'm off track. And then it's like everything goes out the window. So I think if you can take the principles of the Mediterranean diet and still kind of keep that flexibility, you'll find a real sweet spot. But I know for a fact that improving your gut health improves your mental health and those symptoms. As for PTSD specifically, I'm not sure. I would have to like look at the research, but I wouldn't doubt it. And I think that's amazing. Because
Yeah.
nutrition is the biggest healer. So
Awesome. And I will make sure that I link that article when the replay goes out. I can't drop it into the chat here because the link is on a disconnected computer. But I will make sure that goes out and I'll share that with you as well because I think that you might find it interesting as well. We'd love to hear some of your feedback on that. All right, I'm going to dive into the chat real quick. Donna says she's really excited and she uses apple cider vinegar with the mother. Is that enough to help aid her digestion? Is that enough as far as I guess, a probiotic?
yeah. So I love apple cider vinegar. I'll do like I like I told you guys, I add like a shot to my adrenal cocktail. I don't have this cocktail by the way every day. I noticed after 3 days I was very like woo. So I was
Oh,
like, all right, we're
God.
gonna have to take a break from it. So definitely don't drink it every single day, just like in place of coffee or whatever here and there. But what was I gonna say? Love apple cider vinegar. I think it's very easy, very convenient. In terms of it being enough as like the sole probiotic, I wouldn't say that it would be enough. What you can do is add in, I love drinkable Greek yogurt. So like the Greek yogurt you can just drink. Obviously check the ingredients, like if it's actually Greek yogurt, if it's just like fake stuff posed as Greek yogurt. Um, I love Greek yogurts. Coconut yogurt is also packed with like probiotics as well. Just doesn't have as much protein as Greek yogurt, and sauerkraut. So those are my three cheat codes for daily probiotic and prebiotic health. I have 2 to 4 tablespoons of sauerkraut daily. I take a shot of apple cider vinegar, and I have my Greek yogurts, obviously with my fiber, and I'm good to go. I don't even take any supplements for it. And my skin has been clearing up. I wish I had pictures of how bad my skin was.
Your
Uh,
Instagram. I've actually watched your Instagram, your journey, and I will absolutely say like it's been really amazing to watch. So it clearly it works. You are like the poster child for this transformation. So, and you have the discipline to do it. So it's great.
yeah.
Um, Lindsay also had asked about probiotics, but I think you went over that pretty well. Lindsay, if I'm sorry, not Lindsay, Leslie, had asked about that. If you need more, please drop in the chat and I will bring that back up. What do you think about wearing weighted vests while exercising? I like
Ooh,
this,
good
right?
question.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I think it's pretty badass. I think if you want to put a weighted vest on and make it harder for you, it's going to strengthen your core. You're actually applying a load to your body, which is going to make you stronger. So I'm all for anything that makes you stronger. Um, yeah, yeah. Getting into any type of like weightlifting. And when I say weightlifting, people just think that you're just like going to the gym, putting on 200 pounds of weight and like lifting like a maniac. No, like, actually getting some weights at home, doing some YouTube workouts, like getting your body strong. One, you're going to love the results. And two, you're going to feel your best. I'm not against a weighted vest at all. Just like obviously listen to your body. I think it's a good hack. So yeah.
Awesome. So we have someone that is asking if you would be willing to share what your macros are, and obviously give the rest of your stats so people can compare it and put into perspective. Not everybody's built the same. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So my current macros, I may or may not shock you guys. I average around 2,000 to 2,200 calories a day. If I eat below that, I usually find my battery starts to die. I'm not focused. I don't feel my best. I'm 5'3" and a half, and I weigh 140 pounds. So that's kind of like my stats. I do have like um I was gonna try to like my lean body mass. I have a lot of muscle. So like, keep that in mind. I have a lot of muscle that I've worked really hard for over the years. I strength train twice a week. I do Pilates twice a week. I get in my daily walks and I focus on good sleep. And my actual macros can range around 180 to 215 grams of carbs a day. Yeah, yeah. A lot of times you would think, whoa, that's so much carbs. Carbs are bad.
no,
No, that's actually a lot
you
of the
need
work that
them.
yeah, you need them. You need them. And protein, I get around like 120, 130 grams of protein a day. And then my fats, 60 to 80 grams, it can range of fats, which are super important for healthy hormones. If you want healthy hormones, get in your healthy fats, your avocados, your coconut oil, your nuts, your just anything with that. And then carbs, 90% of the carbs that I'm eating are complex carbohydrates. So complex carbohydrates are going to be carbs that contain some type of fiber. So like rice with beans or sweet potato, regular potato, yuca, oats. I love pancakes though. Like I will have them. Um, and so I think that's that. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. But those are my macros. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So real quick, the question has not popped up yet, but maybe I can say it before these fast fingers type it. Why are pancakes bad?
Pancakes are not bad. I
Okay,
love
good. Good. You mentioned that you like pancakes and it sounded like it was a guilty pleasure. So I
Oh
just wanted to make
no.
sure that everybody has their permission to like dive into things
Yes,
like pancakes and things like that. That not all these carbs are bad, that not all the things we love are bad for us. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, I love
Awesome.
pancakes. The reason I said that is mainly because of my skin, so I've had to be a little bit more mindful. But I have your pancakes, carbs. A carb is a carb is a carb at the end of the day. Your body doesn't go, ooh, pancakes, let me store as fat, and ooh, sweet potato, let me store as muscle. Your body uses it all for energy. At the end of the day, it all goes to the same place. Just make sure you're pairing it with like a protein, a healthy fat, so that way you're not getting an energy crash at the end of the day.
Awesome. All right. We have two more questions. If anybody else has any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. But as of now, we have two more questions. And first one is, what are your thoughts on the keto diets?
Interesting. So keto diet. So what are my thoughts? Well, the keto diet was specifically meant for people who struggled with seizures. And it was a diet curated for that. And then it made it to the marketplace somehow. And it became something that our billion trillion dollar industry of women's health, right? Uh, kind of, I feel like turned it into this big thing. At the end of the day, the only thing you need to lose weight or fat, if we're going to talk about that, is a calorie deficit. Okay. You can look up what a calorie deficit is. A calorie deficit is simply you're eating slightly less than your body burns in a day. Your body does not burn calories or energy just from exercise alone. You all being here right now, you're burning energy right now. Okay. And so the keto diet, all it does is create a really big calorie deficit by removing an entire food group. Okay.
Wow.
The whole like tapping into ketosis and all of that is valid. It does happen. But let me ask you this. Can you keep up with the keto diet for the rest of your life? Yes or no? Can you go without carbs? Can you go with no? The answer a lot of times is no. I'm not eating avocados and eggs for the rest of my life, right? So if that is the case, then the weight loss that you get with that diet, okay, unfortunately is going to be put right back on the second you get off of it. So it works, yes. But I'm not a fan of anything that you can't really sustain long term. A lot of people go, let me just do this diet and then I'll just sustain it with like eating healthy and working out. No, it just doesn't work that way, right? Like we end up just rebounding. And so I would say if you want to lose weight or if that's your goal with the keto diet, which 99% of the time that is the goal, learn how to create a calorie deficit. Okay. And that could just be from portion control. It can be from increasing your activity. It can be from like actually improving your habits, right? I believe who asked it? Was it Aurora or Lindsay? Aurora.
Mhm.
So for you, Aurora, you mentioned that you had a lot of the high inflammatory habits, like start there, right? And then move your way into, okay, how can I add in more protein? How can I, portion out my foods better, build out a plate, and then kind of go from there.
That's awesome. So the last question we have I saved this till the end because this is really a perfect segue into something I wanted to talk about. So someone was asking, how do you create plans for your clients for changing their healthy habits? And before you answer that, I do want to let everyone know that we knew there was absolutely no way Lexi was going to be able to cram everything you needed to know into one tiny little master class, which by the way, she's a rock star. She crushed it. She definitely gave us above and beyond. I think that some of us are probably going to watch this over and over and over to make sure we digest everything. But one of the things that Lexi has agreed to do with Survivor School is to actually run a workshop where she takes you guys individually, well, in a group setting, but to get a little bit more personal and to help you kind of build that out. So if anybody is interested in that, you can drop that in the chat and we can get you some information about when that would be happening. But Lexi, what types of things in a workshop would you be able to go into in more depth, and what can someone expect as a result? And our workshops, just so you guys know, they usually are about 3 weeks or so long, so it lets you kind of attain a smaller goal. And Lexi, if you want to kind of share maybe what that might look like for someone.
Yeah, absolutely. So with our one-on-one clients, what I do is we'll audit kind of like a day in the life, a week in the life, but from their actual life. Because a lot of times when we're relaying back a day in the life to somebody else, it's a lot better than when we're actually doing. So I'll usually audit kind of like a day in the life, a week in the life, and we'll start with, 1 to 2 habit changes. So going back to the high inflammatory habits, we'll start 1 to 2 habit changes that we'll implement. And then we'll start with 1 to 2 nutrition habits. I usually don't like to change more than 2 to 3 habits at a time because it tends to get overwhelming and you're like, oh, like I don't know what to do. And really the goal is just to start there. So I'll give you an example. I had a client the other day. We kind of went through a full day in the life. She's like, yeah, I wake up, I brush my teeth, I have coffee, I take the kids, I go to school, then I have work from 9 to 5. And I usually, I'll have my lunch kind of sometimes, like sometimes I'll skip it. Sometimes I have dinner, sometimes I don't. I'm like, okay. So the first thing I noticed was an inconsistency with her nutrition timing. Like she eats, sometimes she doesn't, sometimes she has lunch, she doesn't. She has coffee first thing in the morning. So I know she's under eating. Okay. So the first thing I'm doing is like, we need to get your nutrition timing in check. Okay. So the first habit is making home cooked meals and having kind of some type of consistent meal structure that she can follow that works for her life. The second thing I noticed is that she wakes up and like the way she was explaining it was very like go, go, go. And I'm like, do you just roll out of bed, brush your teeth, pop a coffee, and like you're just in the day? And she's like, yeah, pretty much. And so I know that's also affecting her eating habits, very high stress. So the other habit that we focused on changing is her wind down routine. So the goal with having a better wind down practice was that so she could wake up a little bit earlier to have some time for herself before getting into work, before addressing the family, before getting into all of the day. So she's not just like pumping coffee through her veins to get through it, right? Now she has like 15 minutes in the morning where she just sits in silence on her patio with a tea, with her cat, and then she's able to give her attention to everything else for the day, which has significantly supported her results, right? She's less stressed. She has more hunger cues. She's actually hungry in the morning now, which is a big sign of like, good health. And we just made 2 habit changes. That's it. So we really kind of do an audit of like your daily life. And then I'll kind of go in and be like, okay, like let's kind of figure out 1 to 2 habits that we can change. And then we can compound from there. So now that she's having home cooked meals, she's having her 3 balanced meals a day, she's having a wind down practice, which is allowing her to wake up earlier and have some peaceful time for herself before going into the chaos of the day. Now she feels confident to uphold a new task. Whereas if I were just to be like, here's your macros, here's your training, it's exciting, but she would be overwhelmed by the second week and then be like, I'm just not this type of person, I guess. I just can't handle it. And that's not true. So that's how I really go about that.
That's awesome. And I think that brings up a really great point. And that's again why we wanted to offer a workshop that was a little bit more extended where people could take some of these habits, bring them into their life, test them out, figure out what's working. We have a saying around here too, is we build something until we break it. And when it's broken, then we come back to the drawing board, right? And so I think that, you can't just get it all in 1 hour and go, okay, cool, I have everything I need, and I'm just going to go and do the thing. And you talked about too, where you really start at the fundamentals, that it really is about making sure it's sustainable, that you can actually do the things, because you're never going to get the result if chasing the result is equally as stressful as being in the pain of not having the result, right? So I absolutely love that. I know that your process works very, very well. Like I said, I've been following your journey for some time, and I am very, very excited for the workshop. Now, like I said, if anybody is interested, either let me know in the chat, or you can shoot me over an email and we will get you information on when that workshop is going to start and what that would look like. And if anybody has any questions about what that workshop might look like, please drop the questions in the chat. We definitely want to go over that. I will let you know that for this workshop, if it's run before the end of the year, it'll be just included automatically in Survivor School. So yes, Donna would love to continue more on her journey, and I think that would be awesome. I think you guys would be a really good pair. I think you guys would get along really well. So yeah, no, that's great. Anything else? Is there anything else that you can think of, if you had any words of wisdom to leave everyone with? What would awesome. Yes, people are saying they love this. Hormones and getting strong. That was definitely something that they would love incorporated into a workshop. People are saying this is helpful. Aurora would love to participate. So awesome. Yes, Tia. Yes, awesome. So that is great. And knew there was going to be a ton of buzz about this. I also know that there were plenty of people that actually signed up but had emailed me and told me they couldn't make it today. So when this goes out on replay as well, I'm sure there's going to be even more enthusiasm about it. So I will be sure that everyone gets some information about that. But like I said, could you leave us with some words of wisdom or some things that we should just absolutely take with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that yes, changing your habits is important and changing your behaviors and all of that, but it starts with your identity. And what I mean by that is just the way that you see yourself to be. And if maybe you've struggled with your health your whole life or your weight your whole life or whatever, it can be really easy to kind of identify as that or identify with those struggles. And so if you really want to improve your health, get stronger, build muscle, like really embody that version of you. It's going to start with changing and shifting your identity, the way that you see yourself, and aligning every action and behavior with that. So that's what I would say. I would also say that, there's going to be a lot of like things that pop up, like, oh, being healthy is expensive, or, this is really hard. And you can either defend your limitations and your excuses, or you can defend your vision and your health and where you want to be. Again, only 77% of Americans are metabolically healthy, meaning 90 something percent are metabolically unhealthy, right? So,
Yeah.
like, the car payment, this and that is not as important as like your health. Start with what you can, and then over time you'll be able to build and defend your health because you deserve it and you're worth it. So that's what I want to leave you guys with.
I love that. I completely agree with you. I really do believe that it starts in the mind, and that brain gut connection, we have to incorporate and say it. It's the brain, the mind, and the gut. And I know a lot of the work that you do, it's not just here's your fitness plan, here's your nutrition plan, see you. I know that the work that you do is so much rooted in the mindset and the soul and the mental components that go along with it, because that's the biggest barrier I think most people have. So I'm super excited for your workshop. I cannot wait, actually. I know that I've been slacking in the health department. I'm very aware, and I am the first one to admit that I need to get my butt in gear. And I believe that the reasons I haven't been doing it is because I didn't feel like I had the right support. And this has absolutely given me that feeling that it's the right support, the right person, the right time. So I'm excited. So.
Yay.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate everyone. And thank you. Lexi deserves lots of love and hearts and all the snaps and claps and all that, everyone. Thank you so, so, so much, everyone. Everyone have a great night. And we will see you at the next Survivor School Masterclass, hopefully. We're running a Masterclass every Tuesday and Thursday for the rest of the year. So keep an eye on your inbox and you'll get more details about those as well. So awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Lexi.
Bye.
Bye.